Please kick things off, at least when we're doing introductions. If people come in the next 2 minutes, they won't miss too much. My name is Amy, so I am working here in the admissions office at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. More specifically, managing the admissions process for all of our acupuncture programs. Dean Mosman, I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Oops, my mute button was on. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Dennis Mosman. As Amy said, I'm the Dean at the New England School of Acupuncture. Thanks for joining us, and hope we can provide you with some good information about our program and school.
So just let everyone know this is being recorded, so happy to send this out. If you wanted to, pay attention and not have to take notes, things of that nature, I can always give you a copy of the recording in the slide presentation. And the chat box is open. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, you can feel free to use the webinar chat. The Q&A box is open. So we're happy to answer questions throughout the presentation. You may get a message from me saying we're going to answer that in just a minute or go into more detail about it. But please make sure we want this as interactive as we possibly can and make sure that we answer all of your questions while we're here today. So a little bit about MCPHS to get us started. So first and foremost, we started over 200 years ago, and as in our name, started as a pharmacy university, and it really kind of blew the door open in terms of healthcare, health sciences over these 200 plus years. So we have over 100 programs spanning in the healthcare space. Over 7,500 students from all 50 states and 74 countries. So students, even I've done international admissions in my experience, and even going to different, parts of the world where you think no one's going to know who we are or where we're coming from. I always seem to find someone who knows either who I am or where I am coming from in the school I'm coming from. So long-standing history there, lots of international students. And with having the history that we do have, our clinical affiliations are very strong with a lot of the top hospitals, not only here in the United States, but I would rank a lot of these hospitals is ranked around the world. So like the Mass Brigham, I think that's what they're calling themselves now. Instead MGH and Brigham and Women's Boston merged. We have Boston Medical Center, Boston Children's Hospital. So lots of opportunities in and around the city area. Also here on the Worcester campus, we have the UMass system. St. Vincent's Hospital is right on our back door. So lots of clinical affiliations and growing, by the day here at MCPHS. Our acupuncture programs are currently housed on our Worcester campus. So we're at 19 Norwich Street. Worcester in general is the second largest city in New England. Coming from someone who has now spent going into college over maybe 20 years ago in this area, being able to watch the city go from kind of where it was at that point to what we have today has been incredible. We have a brand new baseball stadium, Polar Park, right here in our backyard. Lots and lots of different kinds of foods from all over the world. It's a very diverse city. It's a very international city. So I usually tell people, I dare you to find a cuisine that's not of your liking in the city of Worcester, because we have foods from all around the world. And just growing in general, MCPHS takes up most of the downtown landscape here in Worcester. We, since coming to Worcester in the year 2000, have invested over $300 million into the city of Worcester. You will find our students in the school systems. You'll find our students in the local healthcare systems. We have multiple community clinics here on the Worcester campus, including our acupuncture clinic that's held in our brand new acupuncture building. To add to that, we also have our optometry program that houses our eye and vision center and optical shop on campus. And we also offer our dental hygiene program. So we have teeth cleaning and services as a community clinic also here on the Worcester campus. One good thing about also being on the Worcester campus is that we have on-campus housing. So if moving from out of state or from afar, you can move into fully furnished housing. We have everything from studio style, down in the right-hand corner of the screen are our studio apartments. So kitchenette style, studio apartment feel to that. We also have, I like to call it our hotel style of living. One of our buildings actually used to be an old Sheraton hotel. So we kept the hotel rooms. We built in some community kitchens on each floor. So again, private area, private single living there. And we also have some suite style that you could have up to 3 roommates. So depending on amenities and roommate style, we have a lot of different options for our graduate students. One thing to keep in mind about the Worcester campus is that it is an all graduate campus. So we do not have undergraduate students on this campus. That's also one question I feel like I tend to get about housing is, okay, if I'm, an adult learner, or am I gonna have to be, on campus dorm housing with other programs of undergrad programs? And the answer is no. So this is an all professional graduate campus. We also have parking available on campus if you're commuting, so different various lots there. I think the furthest lot you would have to walk is about 10 minutes from your program building. So not too far, but it could be up to a 10-minute walk, depending on where you may be parking on campus. So on the Worcester campus, we do have a variety of programs. And one good thing about, going to a school that's not just a school of acupuncture is really having exposure to some of these other fields. So, being able to sit down and learn from occupational therapists or learn from, the physical therapy program, a pharmacist across the table is really important to us, and really important to the mission of MCPHS with graduating successful practitioners in the field. So we do have something called interprofessional education, which we're going to talk about on the next slide. But just to give you a feel of, these are the other professions when we're talking about this interprofessional education that you would be interacting with. So with that, I am going to let Dean Mosman talk a little bit about how interprofessional education works. And I can talk a little bit about some of the projects some of the students have done and activities through this.
Sure. Thanks, Amy. So, on that last slide that Amy had up, you notice, a bunch of different health science programs that we have here on the Worcester campus. And that's nice. So, traditionally, many acupuncture schools are single-purpose institutions teaching acupuncture-only programs. I've been at several of those schools around the country, all great. But the opportunity to learn and not only in the classroom, but between classes and during clinical experiences with other healthcare professionals is really invaluable, because the medicine, acupuncture medicine, has certainly transformed, I would say, over the last 15 or 20 years in the United States. Back when I graduated from school, it was open a private practice, and that was basically all that was available for acupuncturists. And now there are many more job opportunities in medical settings, such as hospitals or multi-purpose interprofessional medical settings where you might be working with, physical therapists and OTs and maybe psychologists, and either sharing space or sharing patients with those practitioners as well. So I think it's not only important to really understand the traditional teachings of Chinese medicine and learn how to utilize them in practice, but I think it's also very important right now in the healthcare system for us to be able to communicate, cooperate, and collaborate with other healthcare professionals. And that's really what interprofessional education is about. And why start with interprofessional anything until after you graduate from school, right? If when you get out, you have some inclination as to wanting to work in a hospital, for example, wouldn't it be great to have these interprofessional experiences while you're in school? And New England School of Acupuncture can guarantee that you have these interprofessional, both educational opportunities and clinical opportunities. We have quite a few hospital placements where you will work interprofessionally with other healthcare professionals in the hospital. And then while you're in school on campus, there are a bunch of different interprofessional education opportunities. One that comes to mind is that we do with the School of Physical Therapy every year, where we do an unfolding case with physical therapists. And, there could be 30 or 40 physical therapists and 30 or 40 acupuncture students and faculty from both programs. And the faculty from the programs select a different case each year, and they talk about their different approaches. It allows the acupuncturists to teach and lecture to the physical therapy students and faculty, and then vice versa. It allows the PT students to lecture and teach the acupuncture faculty and students as well. And then they go into kind of an interprofessional, how would we treat this patient best together, so that what we're doing really is for the benefit of the patient, and there aren't like overlapping services, for example. So that's a couple of examples.
Wonderful. I do know, so Amber is one of our students that's usually on these info sessions with us. Unfortunately, she just couldn't make this one. But one project I know that she typically likes to talk about in her kind of experience with IPE so far is one of our activities is on the opioid crisis. And so, very hot topic in healthcare. I think a topic that, people tend to have a lot of passion about, and how would they treat their patients and kind of the culture around that. And I think one of the most amazing things is typically when you're coming to the table, it's, how do we fix the problem? This is a crisis. How do we treat these patients? How do we fix it? Well, I love that Amber talks about, I'm coming to the table. I'm talking about how I, as a practitioner, can prevent this. So rather than coming at it, is a problem we need to fix, a problem that maybe we can prevent. So really being able to talk to her peers about that and explain, how her and her profession could help it in a different lens. I know that she always loves
Yeah.
to talk about kind of that experience and how, sharing that with her colleagues really helps them learn more about what acupuncture is and kind of the power of it and what it can do.
Yeah, and acupuncture is out there in the real world, helping to kind of battle the opioid epidemic and drug addiction and detox in general. And um, there are plenty of acupuncture services, both private and in hospitals and multidisciplinary settings, where acupuncturists are working with, people who have become addicted to opioids or other forms of both prescription and non-prescription drugs. And acupuncture has shown to be very effective in helping to minimize some of the side effects of the withdrawal of those both prescribed and non-prescribed drugs as well. And you'll have an opportunity to not only, be taught, about the opioid crisis and where you and other healthcare professionals fit into, helping to manage solutions to bring that epidemic under better control. But there's also plenty of clinical placements in our clinical network where you can be placed in a clinical setting where you would be treating patients who are addicted to opioids.
So lots of collaboration on campus, which is something that we love. So a little bit about faculty, facilities, student success. Our faculty, most of our faculty members, they're all coming from the field. So whether they were in a specific specialty or not, they're coming from the field, they're coming with experience. The facilities, when I say state of the art, when you talk to your other fellow colleagues on campus and they see your building, they tend to be a little bit jealous. So really state of the art, beautiful facilities, lots and lots of space. I think one thing that I love about the fact that you have your own building, and when I say your own building, it's five floors of a building and not just some of our other programs that get one floor. on a building. There are tons of lab space, tons of classroom space. So there's tons of space for everyone to move their own things around and for everyone to really have hands-on experience. We have a really beautiful on-campus community clinic in the acupuncture building that serves our local community. So not only the facility is great, you're going to have really strong supportive faculty. We also, since this is a graduate focused campus, we also have all of these services that I think people tend to see more on the undergrad side of Center for Academic Excellence and tutoring and Office of Accommodations and your Career Development Center. For example, when I was going to grad school, I was going to a small school that was predominantly undergrad, had a handful of graduate programs. So when I thought about going to, the center to get some help, I found that a lot of the services were more geared towards undergraduate students, which, now that I'm into the profession that I am, makes sense if that's, your overwhelming population. That's really not the case here on the Worcester campus. Everything is really geared towards graduate students. I tend to see that maybe on the undergrad level, we think about going to get tutoring help when we're struggling with the subject. It's not really the case necessarily on the grad level. We have students that are doing excellent in the program and may go to get peer tutoring or mentoring because they want to be that much better. So it's not, I like to feel like more or less that negative connotation of going and getting extra help. Some students are doing it just for the sheer extra help of, I want different study methods or different ways to help me be successful. So not only do we have tutoring type services, we also have a full career development center. And those career services are available to you even as an alumni. So if, 15 years down the road, whatever a resume may look like, whether that's paper we still use or electronic or vice versa, and you needed some help, you can always come back to MCPHS for those types of services. Any kind of learning accommodations or access accommodations, physical accommodations for you to be on campus also is fully provided from MCPHS. We just need to know what you need as a student, and we're happy to provide that.
Yeah, I just want to say this is a big differentiator to me. Amy certainly covered this, but having come from working at several acupuncture schools in my career, I was the president of a former acupuncture school. This is a game changer. You don't see a lot of first at the graduate level, you don't see a lot of these comprehensive services. And then also graduate level acupuncture colleges around the country tend to be smaller. And that means that there's one person performing multiple services. And, that's not the case here. And the university and certainly NISA believes that student success is our job. That's, primary. And so there is just tremendous resources here for students, not only, like Amy said, with academic tutoring or mentoring, but in accommodations and career placement. And so to me, this is a big differentiator that sets MCP and New England School of Acupuncture apart from some of the other schools out there.
Absolutely. And full counseling services as well. I don't think that we have that on here, typically under student life. But just to let you know that the mental health counseling and all sorts of those health benefits are also available here on campus. So I know we've talked a lot about MCPHS and the New England School of Acupuncture. It is one of the same. So Dennis, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about how that came to be and how the New England School of Acupuncture is now here housed at MCPHS.
Sure. So, kind of some similarities between the two. Amy had said that Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences has been around for a long time. We just celebrated our 200th year in 2023. Making it probably, I think it's the second oldest college of pharmacy in the United States, the oldest college here in Boston. We share a similar trait. New England School of Acupuncture is the oldest acupuncture college in the United States. It started in 1975, and we'll be celebrating our 50th year. So there'll be some good parties and events surrounding that celebration. in the next year, so we're very excited about that. New England School of Acupuncture merged with Mass College in 2016 at a time when folks at Mass College just saw the importance of having complementary integrative medicine as part of their health science educational program. And NISA, that's what we lovingly call ourselves, was brought on in 2016. We were formerly in Newton, Mass, and as Amy said, in 2016, we moved over here permanently full-time, and the university built us, restored an entire building for us, 5 floors. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we have continued the tradition of acupuncture education that we have been known for in the United States. We teach a program that is obviously steeped in the traditional and classical teachings of acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine. But as the healthcare system and the healthcare climate changes, and acupuncture that was once thought of as an alternative kind of weird modality, I would even call it, it's now become more accepted and integrated into the healthcare system, right? Lots of insurance companies are starting to pay for acupuncture services. And so we take that classical, traditional educational model, and we also integrate Western biomedical clinical sciences with that, so that our students, not only can practice the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are typically associated with a licensed acupuncturist, but that graduate, that practitioner, can also communicate, cooperate, and collaborate with other professionals, with patients, loved ones, and families in a way that allows them to work with other healthcare professionals to really bring about a high-quality, patient-centered care.
Okay, so a little bit about what we are teaching here. Dean Mosman, I'm going to let you present this slide as well as to what we're offering and what we're teaching our students.
Yeah, so just, I kind of wanted to emphasize that all of the classical components of Chinese medicine are taught at the New England School of Acupuncture. The profession in the United States is known as acupuncture. So when you see that, sometimes the way I define it is I use acupuncture with a capital A to talk about the medicine, but when we get to the actual use of the acupuncture needles into points along the body to stimulate a therapeutic effect, I kind of refer to it as acupuncture as a treatment method rather than as the medicine. But so acupuncture, the profession, is made up of a variety of different things, and just the needling part is one of those things. But in addition to acupuncture needling, there are other adjunctive techniques that students learn to care for their patients. These are things such as moxibustion, and you see here cupping, gua sha, electroacupuncture, dermal needling, things like that. As new acupuncture techniques are kind of developed, we introduce those into the program. So you might see some lectures on laser acupuncture, for example, right? Laser acupuncture certainly wasn't around 2,000 years ago when the traditions of classical Chinese medicine were being developed, but it is becoming very popular today. The use of Chinese herbs has always been utilized with acupuncture. Some folks use acupuncture alone, and some will pair acupuncture and those adjunctive therapies with the prescription of Chinese herbs to their patients as well. And those herbs bring about a therapeutic effect, just like the acupuncture does. We talk about nutrition because before there are herbs, there has always been eat right to be healthy, right? This idea of wellness and well-being and whole medicine. Certainly food plays a big role in that. So you'll be learning about nutrition from both an Eastern and a Western perspective, and learning to integrate those two schools of thought on how to help the body reach its kind of maximum potential well-being by eating well. Typically in Chinese medicine and in acupuncture around the world, and this could be in Japan or in Korea or in other places around the world, body work was always an integral part of the medicine. We teach a form of Asian body work called Toina, and you will learn that throughout your program and be able to incorporate, again, those skills and competencies into your practice so that you can utilize that form of body work in conjunction with your acupuncture to provide high quality patient care. And then before you can help someone else, it's always important to remember that you have to be able to help yourself. And so we teach self-care techniques such as Tai Chi, Qigong, meditation. These allow you to be the best version of yourself. And by being that best version of yourself, then you're able to take care of patients who need you to be in the best space when they come in to be helped by our medicine.
Great. So we offer a couple different tracks of the program. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what the offerings are, and then Dean Mosman, I'm gonna have you talk a little bit about the differences and maybe what track people may be ready for. So we
Sure.
have our master's level program. So anyone that has never studied in acupuncture and we're interested in being a practitioner, everyone has to start off with a master's of acupuncture. So to be eligible, you have to start there. So sometimes I get questions of students already holding a master's degree. Does that mean they can go straight into a doctorate program? Answer to that would be no. So we have our master's level program. So Masters of Acupuncture. We also offer our Masters of Acupuncture and Chinese Herbal Medicine. We also have some doctoral tracks. So for instance, we have a master's to doctorate. So start off with your master's and then you can do a 1-year online doctorate. We also have kind of what I like to call is the complete package. So we can do everything, a master's of acupuncture with Chinese herbal medicine with that track to a doctorate. And we also have a program for anyone that may be on the call that already has a master's of acupuncture, but looking just for the doctorate piece. We do have a 1-year online completion program. One thing I do like to point out as going into a master's level program, you do not necessarily have to have a completed undergraduate degree, but you do have to have at least 60 undergraduate credits to be eligible for the master's program. If you are a student that does not have a bachelor's degree and you're interested in doing a master's and a doctorate, we would need to see 90 completed college credits. So, and for comparison to that, a typical bachelor's degree is 120 undergraduate credits. And we also have a concentration in Japanese acupuncture. But Dean Mosman, I'll let you talk a little bit about a little more detail of each of these tracks and what they would be studying in each of these.
Sure. So as Amy said, you mean basically if you kind of break our offerings up into two, there's a master's program and there are doctoral programs. The difference between the two really have to do with credits. So our master's program, you see here, we have two. There's a Master of Acupuncture and a Master of Acupuncture and Chinese Herbal Medicine. The difference between those is whether you are studying Chinese herbs as part of your curriculum. The difference in terms of credits, the Master of Acupuncture is probably around 120. I'm just going to round. It's about 120 credits. The Master of Acupuncture and Chinese Herbal Medicine is around 160 credits. So you're looking at about 40. Don't tie me to those numbers exactly, but a difference of about 40 credits. And those 40 credits are Chinese herbal medicine specific, taught over the course of the full the 3-year program, which is kind of our most accelerated program. It's the shortest time you can take to complete a program. The doctoral programs probably add another 20 credits to each of those programs. so that when you finish, you wind up with a doctor of acupuncture, and that could be with or without the study of Chinese herbs as well. For those students who have a master's in acupuncture, with or without Chinese herbs, you can also obtain your doctorate. You would do that by joining our Doctor of Acupuncture completion program. Some schools refer to this as a transitional doctorate, which takes typically a licensed acupuncturist who has their master's degree, adds some number of credits, and for us, that's typically 20 credits. And you complete that in as little as one academic year, and then you will receive a doctor of acupuncture. Again, that could be with or without Chinese herbs. In terms of, well, what is it that I need to go into practice or to get my license? Right now in the United States, the master's degree is required for licensure in all states at this moment in time. I did recently hear that Florida, and it surprised me of all places, they were looking to change legislation to have a doctoral degree to be required. If you obtain your master's degree before that goes into effect, you will be grandfathered in. If that law were to ever go into effect in Florida or any other state prior to that, that could potentially be a difference. But I do see the profession moving towards doctoral level. We've seen many other professions that are similar to us, PT, OT, for example, that have moved to the doctoral level. Acupuncture is moving already. Many schools around the country are offering doctoral degrees. And at some point, it will be the preferred degree, although you don't need it right now. So you can, open your own practice on your own. You can work in a hospital. Typically, with a master's degree, there are some places that might prefer a doctoral degree. I know certainly with research, teaching, doctoral degrees tend to be preferred. So if you're looking to get into that field of research or teaching, a doctoral degree is preferred. Amy also alluded to this idea of a Japanese acupuncture training. We offer a concentration in Japanese acupuncture. Think of it like a minor. It is, let's see, 2, 4, 10, 11, 12 additional credits. Sorry about the out loud math there. It's 12 additional credits. Somewhere in the neighborhood of about 300 additional hours in Japanese acupuncture styles. Those are a little bit different than Chinese acupuncture styles, different in the kinds of needles that they use, the way those needles are applied and utilized in practice. And so it's 5 additional classes and a minimum of 2 additional clinical rotations where you have to demonstrate competency in both the the diagnostic aspect of that style of acupuncture and in the treatment style of that kind of acupuncture. And you are evaluated in clinic and certified to be competent in Japanese acupuncture styles. And then that, just like a minor would, that would go on your transcript as a concentration in Japanese acupuncture. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little.
Okay, so one great thing, and I talked a little bit about this when I was talking generally about MCPHS, is some really amazing clinical affiliations. And that rings true for our acupuncture programs as well. Not only are you probably notice a lot of the names that are up here, and Dean Moses, I know you're going to talk a little bit about the different positions we have at these locations, but we also have an on-site community clinic. And that's one thing, someone as a resident of Worcester, and when I go out into the city and I say where I work, a lot of the time someone is going to talk to me about the acupuncture clinic. I have a lot of people that come up to me and say that they've been treating there for years. They started, when Nisa came to MCPHS. I'm a patient there. I love my treatments there. So I always can't say enough about what we're offering this community here in Worcester. But Dean Mosman, I'll let you talk a little bit about the types of clinical training that they'll receive here at NISA.
Sure. So I'm going to actually jump to the bottom of this slide first because clinical training is broken up into two components. There's what we call assistantship, and this is where you observe acupuncturists treating. You're going to shadow them. You're probably going to do, some helping with different services, but you can't needle at this point. You're not going to be guiding and directing the treatment. You're going to be watching other people do that. And then there's the part of clinical training called clinical internship. And that's where you're actually doing the treating, and a licensed acupuncturist is observing you to make sure that you're, doing everything that the way that you're supposed to for the maximum therapeutic effects. As Amy said, we have a community clinic here on the Worcester campus. It encompasses the entire first floor of our building in Worcester. It's a gorgeous state-of-the-art clinic. You will be able to do both some of your assistantship and your internship hours here, again, watching or doing the actual work of a clinical intern. But where the rubber sort of meets the road, and this is another slide I would put an asterisk on and say, what makes NISA different than other places is outside of our community acupuncture clinic, which is amazing. We have an extensive network of training facilities. The majority of them are in Massachusetts, but we have clinical training opportunities in all of New England, some in New York, some in Pennsylvania. So we reach beyond the New England area. And so, for example, the bullet point here up on the top, over 90 private practices. This is a network of practitioners that probably are predominantly NISA alumni for the over close to 50 years that we have been around. And we send students to those practices. This slide's outdated. It's actually over 100 for sure now. And those practitioners vary in their clinical specialties. So let's say you want to treat in reproductive medicine. We probably have a dozen or so offices that specialize in reproductive medicine. Or if you're interested in treating like underserved communities or LGBTQ plus communities, we have probably a dozen practitioners within this network that are serving in those communities. There's pediatrics, there's oncology, there's family medicine. The list goes on and on. That's a lot of practices where you're learning right from the acupuncturist in their private practice setting. In addition to that, all of our interns are required, whether you're a master's student or a doctoral student, all of our interns are required to do one hospital rotation. Many of our students are doing 2, 3. Our doctoral students are probably doing 4 or 5 rotations in the hospital because they want to learn to be able to treat as part of a healthcare team, in addition to knowing how to treat if you were to open your own office. The hospitals, and this is not all of the hospitals that we're serving right now. There's a couple more VAs here. We have a community style VA that we just brought on board as well. But you can see Boston Medical Center, we actually have 3 placements within Boston Medical Center. There's oncology, there's peds, there's family medicine, there's veteran services, there's a pain management clinic that we just brought on board last year. The opportunities here are just incredible opportunities to treat patients collaboratively in some of the top hospitals in Massachusetts. And quite frankly, Massachusetts is probably one of the best centers of healthcare on the East Coast of the United States. So a lot of fantastic opportunities here.
Right. Oops. So a lot of this, I feel like we've talked about a little bit over and over again, about why to come study at NISA, why to come study here at MCPHS. Dennis, I don't know, I'll let you talk maybe a little bit about a couple of the points here that that you would say stand
Yeah,
out most, even though I know we've talked a lot about this kind of throughout the presentation.
yeah. So like bullets 3, 4, and 5, we certainly covered. I'll say a couple of things. So in terms of your clinical training, uh, you start clinic, you start observation semester 1. So, by the third week of the semester, you're either observing in our clinic or observing in a practice out in the world. We believe very strongly that the more clinical training that you get, the better practitioner that you are when you graduate. Other schools don't start that observation part of clinic until sometimes the second year of the program. And I think that's a disservice because the more that you can be thrown into a real world clinical setting, the greater your learning curve will be over the 3 or plus years that you're studying acupuncture medicine. Similarly, we start you needling in the first weeks of the first semester of your first year. That's also very different than many other schools that are starting kind of in the second year. You will be needling every single semester you are in this program. And again, it's it's a skill that is a manual skill that requires you putting time and effort into developing that skill. And our belief is that the more time and effort that you put in to developing your skill as an acupuncturist, the better you will be when you come out of here in 3 years. So we figure the more practice that you get, the less practice you actually have to do on your patients when you go in and open your office or work in a hospital. So those are some of the things that I'd probably just add to being unique about New England School of Acupuncture.
Wonderful. Okay, so a lot of the things again that we kind of we talked about. So we are in a field of growth. So being in healthcare, going into promising career, jobs are increasing. Our students are well prepared. Well, numerous reasons why we've gone over in this presentation of all the different experience you'll get and all the support you'll have as a student on this campus. As well as our students being surveyed, is that people are getting well paid. So this is including acupuncturists and kind of Bureau of Labor Statistics. But we can also say that taking on education it's an emotional commitment, it's a financial commitment. But in other words, we do like to say that we can provide you with the success that will come along with that investment. So the application process, so applications are still open for this fall. So it is not too late to get your application in. One of the great things I think about our application is that it's free. There is no application fee to apply to the program. So it is an online form. So you fill out kind of all of your personal information there. It's also a personal statement indicating your desire to study acupuncture here at MCPHS. So once you kind of fill out the form of the application, upload your personal statement right there in the application. There's also instructions on how you would submit all official transcripts. So any college or institution that you received college credit from, we will need a copy of that transcript. So there's instructions on how you can either submit it to us manually through postal mail, or there are ways electronically for you to upload those transcripts as well. And some of those admission requirements, as I talked about earlier when we were talking about the different tracks. So if we're interested in our master's level programs, we need all official transcripts and either demonstrating your completion of your undergraduate degree or a minimum of 60 college credits. If we're applying for any track for a doctor of acupuncture, so that could be the master's to doctorate. If you do not have a completed bachelor's degree, we will need to see the completion of at least 90 college credits. So sometimes even students, if you're thinking it all down the road, even if you're only applying for the master's now, if down the road you're thinking you may want a doctorate, I would suggest maybe having a meeting with me or thinking about a way to maybe get some extra credits because that will be a requirement for a doctorate path if you have not completed an undergraduate bachelor's degree. If you already have your master's and we're looking for the completion program, we will need all of your graduate level transcripts from your accredited acupuncture program. So we'll need that. And then if anyone is applying as an international student, just please know we will need a transcript evaluation. We accept them from WES or ECE, but I'm also happy to answer further questions about that and process if that's something that you'll need to set up. So the admissions review. So once we have your application, the first review, it actually goes through me in the admission office. So what I mean by review is I'm making sure that if you say that you got your PhD from Harvard, I'm making sure that that transcript that you sent in with that application reflects a PhD from Harvard. We're making sure that you're eligible for the program. So instance, I'll be looking at college credits if there's not a completed bachelor's degree, things of that nature. We also have the ability for transfer credit of some of our foundation science courses, courses like anatomy and physiology, biology, chemistry, general psychology. That's something that I am automatically reviewing your transcripts for to see if we can accept that credit. Transfer credit is only valid for 5 years, so credits would have to have been taken within the past 5 years. But again, that's something that admissions automatically reviews your records for, and I'm always happy to answer questions about that. So from there, if you are a qualified candidate, we are going to invite you for the interview process. Interview takes place virtually. It's about a 30-minute conversation with one of our faculty interviewers on the admissions committee. It's a great time for us to get to know you beyond the application. So when you send in that application, that's what we know about you. We know your academic history. We know probably your journey to acupuncture as reflected through your personal statement, but a really good time just to get to know you as a person, but also a great time for you to get questions answered and get to know more about us, faculty, as a program, as an institution. So always have questions available. I know our faculty love questions, and making sure the point of this is not, yes, for get to know about you, you to get to know about us, but also just to make sure that you're a good fit for the program, and that you're ready for the program as well. So, and making sure you have all the information you need to make the best decision for you in terms of your graduate education. So the question and answer box is open. I don't see anything typed into there just yet. I do have some frequently asked questions I'm happy to go through, maybe while you're thinking about different questions. We do have some flexible enrollment options. So we do have some options where you can stretch out some of the curriculum from the start. So you can start the program as a part-time student. This is not a part-time program, so it is only available for the first part of your curriculum. We're happy to answer questions about that. If you have further questions, we do have the tracks listed on our website with the curriculum plans to show what you would be taking per semester, depending on which track you pick. There are hybrid courses in our curriculum. So especially during your first year, you would notice on your schedule that some courses are going to be delivered via online. Well, some of the courses will require you to be on campus. We are a fall start. So if we're interested in applying for fall of 2024, applications are still open, but we do start these full degree programs every fall. You do not have to have a specific background to be eligible for the program. We have students coming in from corporate finance backgrounds, healthcare backgrounds, different science backgrounds, law enforcement, military. I've seen kind of a little bit of everything. So even from students coming directly from undergrad to grad into the program, people may be doing some career change, mid-career, halfway career. Sometimes I see people who are retired from their first careers and coming on for a second. So just know that everything that you would need science related is already built into the program. So we would hate for that to be a barrier for you to enter the program thinking, I wasn't a science student or that wasn't my major during undergrad. International students are absolutely eligible to apply. Like I said, we would just need the transcript evaluation, which makes it just the only difference in terms of the application process. I did talk a little bit about transfer credit and kind of how we accept that and how your applications are reviewed for that. We do accept federal financial aid, so if interested in the program, you would want to make sure to fill out your FAFSA and designate MCPHS on there. And we do have scholarships. So for our fall 2024 incoming students, we do offer right now $8,000 renewable scholarship for each year that you are in the program. So it does look like we do have our first question. So Dennis, do you want to talk a little bit about how the 4 and 5 year tracks to the MAC work in terms of the part-time start?
Absolutely. So there are for all of the master's programs, both acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine, there are 3, 4, and 5 year options. This is our way of allowing some amount of flexibility by allowing someone to take a smaller credit load in the first couple of years of the program to get them up to speed. And so what I mean by that is if you choose the 4 year track, for example, you take year 1 of the program, which let's just call it 45 credits for argument's sake. And instead of doing those 45 credits over 1 year, you're going to do those over 2 years. You could theoretically do year 2 the same way, and you could stretch out the first 2 years into a 4 year period. And then you would do the third academic year of the program in a full-time way, because that third year of the program is really clinic heavy. So we have found it's best to do those clinics all within that year rather than spreading those clinics out over 2 years. So it allows the student to maybe choose a slower pathway, and depending on your circumstances, the first half of the first year might be all in person and all remote, and then the second half of the first year could be in person. So it's plausible that you might not have to be on site for that first portion of the first year of the program, but that's something that I'd want to speak with each candidate about to find out what their specific needs are.
Great. I did skip just to the last slide just to make sure everyone can kind of see my contact information. Under that campus tours, that visit link will bring you to all the different ways that you can connect with us here on the Worcester campus, whether virtually or in person. We do have an open house coming up next month on July 11th. That all the information is listed under that visit link as well. It's a great time if you are close by and can come visit campus. You get to have a full tour of the campus. You'll have some interactive activities in the acupuncture building with students, with faculty. So it's just a really great time to be able to visit. We also offer campus tours monthly. We always have something available on a weekend and then also during weekdays. If those options don't work for you, you can always contact me. I'm happy to set something up. If you wanted to sit in on a class, meet with faculty, maybe chat with students, get a full tour around, we're happy to set something personally up for you as well. We're pretty flexible over here. As long as, we can make scheduling work and some options work, we're always kind of happy to work around your schedules. We know that most of our students coming in, they're either full-time in school or full-time working. So we know that schedules can get busy. So we're happy to help with that. We also have some great online footage on our YouTube channels. There's an acupuncture playlist on that YouTube channel. It has a lot of great content on it. Any last minute questions, concerns? I don't see anything really being typed in the question box. But this presentation, like I said, will be available if anyone needs a copy of it. Please just feel free to ask. I'm happy to send it out. But yeah, I'm always available if anyone needs anything from me. Okay, information on cost. Yes. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can get to that link and I will send it for you. Hold on 1 second.
I do want to say, while Amy is kind of bringing up that link, you'll see on our website that potential candidates are eligible for a merit scholarship. I did a little analysis of our student population and found that 96% of our students received a full merit scholarship. The full merit scholarship is $8,000 per year, which means if you do a 3-year program, the full total scholarship awarded is $24,000. The university does that as a way to help potential students, with tuition costs. So please be aware, as long as you come in with a good GPA and you maintain that GPA, that's the merit base of the scholarship, you will be getting $8,000 per year. Keep that in mind.
I put the link to our tuition and fees in there. Just to let you know, it is a drop down menu. So you'd want to click on Worcester, Manchester, to see the cost for our on-campus programs. If you were interested in the doctoral completion program, that would be listed under the online drop down, just to clarify. Sometimes, since it's in 2 different places, can be confusing, but since the completion program technically is online, it's just listed separate. I don't see any more questions in here. Again, please feel free to reach out to me. I will type my email address one more time in the general chat. But send me an email. Said I'm always happy to set up a Zoom or a call or answer through email. If you have more specific questions on the program or curriculum and you'd want to speak with Dean Mosman, I'm happy to put you in touch with him and connect you. Like I said, usually Amber is here from a student perspective. She just couldn't make it today. So if you wanted to chat with her or any specific questions about student life from a student, she's always great chatting with inquiries and applicants. So I'm happy to put you in touch with her as well. Basically, you contact me, I can help put you in touch with anyone in the department that you may need to kind of help give you the best information. Lindsay, thank you so much. And with that, I'm going to end the session. And if anyone needs a copy of it, please just feel free to reach out and I'm happy to give you a copy of the recording. Thanks for joining us, Dean Mosman. Thank you for joining us this month.
Thanks, everybody.
Anyone needs anything, just let me know. Have a great night.
Bye.